So at least that's the exterior fixtures. Okay. And two, bad thing is no, okay, where is here's the panel. But they don't give you anything more specific than that. It's like, well, got to think about in a residence, how does the power come to the house? It's usually overhead, right? Comes through overhead and then down a pole or something. So yeah, we would have seeing all that. It's existing, so we probably don't even have to worry about it. How is that? Oh, it's not from the ground up. It's a renovation. Who knows? But it is a. We don't care. Oh yeah, it's existing, so that's good. We don't have to worry about that. That's a clue that you don't have to worry about that. All that's existing. All of this is existing. That's existing, and the main thing, reason why you know you don't have to worry, is the meter is existing. So we're just doing probably just gutting it. It's probably been gutted and or they just when they built the track homes, they just put the basic stuff in, and now you buy the house and you get it all put in or whatever. Who knows? You customize it the way you want it. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so just know with residential, it's not all neat and there's not even a panel schedule. Okay, so with a lot of this, you'll have to guess in terms of even if you had to think about breakers, well, you would just uh, you'd have to go backwards, right? Because every outlet, duplex outlet, is probably for a home is 15 amp breaker. The electrician will know, but typically for every outlet you got a breaker. If it's a GFCI outlet, you have a GFCI breaker. If it's the mechanical equipment, you have a 2 pole, 3 pole, where all the other breakers are 1 pole, right? So you have to go backwards, but it's possible. But like I said, when we do this one together, you will see the takeoff. And I mean, in a way, it's easier, but then in a way, it's not. So just know you'll have to look at everything on one sheet. There won't be a lot of, there may be a lot of site work, may not be in this case. It is lots already existing. So if you have any questions, please email me at education@sfjohnsonconsulting.com. Otherwise, I will see you at the next class. Hey guys, this is Stacy with SF Johnson Consulting and Construction Services, and this is a new one for our estimating class and for estimators, electrical estimators only. And we're going to be reviewing. This is just an introductory review to our Chase Bank that we're going to be preparing. It's a Chase Bank from the ground up. So not a very big bank. So we see the lighting plan, pretty straightforward, pretty clear, nice. Not a lot of keynotes. Well, on a lighting plan, we don't have very many. So we know that there is a panel called PP1, and that's where the home runs for the lighting plan are going to go. And if we're lucky, they'll show it on the lighting plan, but typically they don't show any of the panels on the lighting plan, even though it is for the lights. So, you'll be able to find it, or you may. Probably not, but it is on the power plan. Here's the site plan. This is kind of weird. Looks like they're going to have it go right over the building, because if it was underground, it would probably be a broken line. So that's kind of odd. Like this one is broken, right? Underground. Oh, it's far away. It's quite some ways away from the bank. That's the underground, the secondary. Okay. So we'll have to look at the single line diagram to give us what that is. And then the power plan, roof plan, all the disconnects. Got to make sure we know, again, as always, the wire configuration for the mechanical. We have a switch that can turn on a motor. So we got to make sure we have all the right ones for that. I don't know. It may come with the equipment, so that's something we need to check and find out. We won't have to look at the specifications with this one. I didn't include it, but on the ones coming up, I will give you the have a hotel coming up and you'll have all the specifications. You got to read through those. Okay, and so here we have a drive-through with some, I'm sure, and we know that it is the break off, right? So it's underground. That's also going to be underground, but they don't show it as being underground. The home run for see what this has a lot of keynotes 4, 5, and 6, and a lot of just stuff. Okay, so yeah, 1 and 1 inch PVC underground routed to panel PP1. So always make sure you have for the transition from underground to above ground. And here are the panels. Panel PP1. And then that's the drive-through. So yeah, we're going to go underground, and then at some point, because this is from the ground up, you may stay all underground and stub up, or I'm not sure. So that's something that we'd have to look in more detail. Most likely, maybe because they show us that this stubs up into the building where this remains underground because of so that's a lot to look into, because you want to make sure you are close to using the right conduit, because if this has to be underground at some portion, I mean it's going to be because of the distance from the building. So I'll just assume that this all is going to be PVC conduit until it gets to the building. Then we'll bring it up into over there. All right. And then a lot of details. See where our single line. I might have. Okay, so they have it like this, one line instead of, they have it vertically instead of horizontal. It's okay. Same thing. Utility transformer outside the building. Right? So we just have to find the distances in real time, pretty much in real life, from the power plant and include all of that. So that's weird that they have the single line vertical instead of horizontal, which we're normally used to seeing. Okay, so this is just a little chase bank from the ground up. Of course, we have all the details, so we have to make sure we know, and this will help you with we're using 1/2 inch conduit for this, so that's gonna make a big difference. So we normally use 3/4 inch, right? So when we see these keyed on the probably the power plan, we have to make sure we are using the right conduit when we see those marks on the plan. Okay, where the that's good. I rarely see it like this. Where the of course the power is 3/4 inch, and the data phone TV 2 inch. That's good. Duplex 3/4 inch. Whatever this is. Oh, data phone. Then the floor box. Oh, that's good. 1 2 inch, 1 1 inch, and then a 2 inch. What we got? Okay. Yeah, coming out. Nice. All right. So we can't get confused on the. So what I'm saying is, right, when you on the power plant and you see those things, you see, well, here now we're going to need a 2 inch conduit to the ceiling for the data phone, and the whatever HB was on those details. Let's find it. Was it on this one? HB. Of course, I can't find it again. Let's see. Let's go back. Where was it? Yeah, here we go. HB. And sometimes it's not perfect, but should be an HB somewhere. There was one on the plan. Maybe it's just HB. Let's see. I don't see an HB. You know, it's always a mistake. Let's see if we see one here. HB, HB, HB. Oh, look. HBH. No. HB. Oh, we're getting close. HB. Nope. Yeah, it's a mistake. We'll find it. We'll assume it's 1 inch. Because it sure said, oh, let's see what 15 is. See the stupid stuff you got to do? But you have to do it. Hold up button. Oh, I like banks. Because you find out where all the hold up buttons are, which is good if you're estimator, but you're not supposed to, share the secrets. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, we'll find the conduit, floor boxes for the desk, different stuff. So, yeah, they keep us safe when we go to the bank. All right. So, if any questions on this one, let me know. This one won't be shared in the public because it is a bank. It's just for my students. And if you have any questions, email me at education@sfjohnsonconsulting.com. And to make sure you have at least 2 days a week, okay? Private sessions to go over this stuff, all right? All right. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time. Hey guys, this is Stacy with SF Johnson Consulting and Construction Services, and I am here to talk to you about the project for this week. This would actually be project number 4 for our electrical estimating class. And this is a dentist's office. This is Conroy Family Dentistry. And we're going to do something a little different on this project where you'll have an additional piece of work to do, where I've also included the specifications in with your documentation. And I need you to review the specifications and tell me what the electrician needs to, what does it tell the electrician to do in detail? Give me detail in an email. What do the specifications state that the electrician needs to do? You know, when we do review a set of construction documents, I kind of been letting you off easy by not reviewing the specifications, but we know in real life we have to do that. And so I will have you, in addition to when your takeoff is due, also give me the additional information that is required from the specifications. And so photometric plan shows you how the light is, parking lot lighting is supposed to hit the full parking lot area. That's, of course, nothing we need. And here is our electrical lighting plan. Pretty simple. Bunch of 2x4s, a bunch of dome lights. It looks like, okay, the typical emergency. Okay, so pretty simple. Probably a lot of different, names. And what I want you to do, that this is like you could say, instead of counting individually, three-way switch, you could say that it is a duplex switch, right? It's a duplex, two gang switch. You can do it that way if you find that there are a lot like that. That's fine. You can do it that way if you find there are a lot like that. Or you can just do them individually. Either way will work. Okay. That's the lighting plan and the power plan. Okay, so dental offices, we're going to have some underground, some floor boxes, right? And that's a quad floor box. And of course, dotted lines underground, power, and this indicates it comes up, right, up to from the nearest wall into the nearest power, right? So both of these are individual because you see that they go to individual positions on the panel, right? So it's basically telling you that that's the home run, right, that this one's going to, but it's going underground, coming up individually, right? Because we can run more than one circuit in a piece of conduit, but we're just gonna do one for one. And if we see here in the rooms, right, both of these are going to position 16. So what we need to do is do that MC cable trick that they're not showing us here. So you can do it in the most efficient way, right? They're all going to, so it's not showing you MC cable, right? But we know that in our minds, if these are going to the same circuit, it's not like a home run that we can MC cable them here and here and wherever, right? Because they are going to the same circuit, as opposed to the floor boxes that we see that they're each going to a different home run, a different single position. Okay, so you want to look through all of your rooms now, because we may have multiple rooms, right? That have, because you can have up to six. Usually I've seen up to 6 duplex outlets, daisy chain pretty much together, and then home run, da to this position. So you need to be aware of that. Okay. So when we do the takeoff, we want to see that 59, 59, 59. Well, zit, right? 72, 72 all together. So that's why sometimes you got to go in there and look, and like it's like 66 and 68, 64. See, it gets a little crazy. But the whole point, right? Going to the same circuit. So you got to keep your eyes open for that. Okay. So that's the power. The power is always more difficult. And then we've had our mezzanine, and then our roof, right? So we've got our disconnects. We got to make sure we count those. And we know, because it's telling us going to 3 different positions in this panel, likelihood it's not all number 12s, right? So we got to make sure we know where that is. We got to look at the panel. There should be some schedule somewhere telling us the rooftop unit or the mechanical plan power. Okay, so make sure we do that. All the disconnects, all the home runs. This is all on the roof, right? So we have to, in our mind, make sure we give everything an additional 10 feet to go down, right? Lighting and power. And then the single line diagram, pretty big, right? We go from outside. Okay, we got everything in black, unless noted, is something we have to account for. So we see we have the conduit going down underground, then coming back up, right? And then staying up. And then the mezzanine part. So make sure you give an additional, to go up to the mezzanine for the power feeder. And remember, single line diagram, it doesn't tell us anything about distance. It's not to scale, right? NTS. So we have to go on our power plan, find out where all the panels are in position to what we see on wherever, right? And do the measurements. So this one was the first page. This is our HA panel with all of our breakers, so we know, okay, so here we go. So now we see from the panel our rooftop, our mechanical equipment wire. Some are number 12s, they're number 8, 3/4 inch. Okay. And then the next page is all the other panels. Then the lighting control panel, got a whole cabinet for that. Okay, so we have to look in detail to see what we have there and account for it in the material. And we see all number 12, a lot of number 12. So we're going to note, we're going to go back on our power plan and find the X-ray home run and make sure we break that out X-ray, look, X-ray home run. Okay, and all of the signage. Number 10, corridor lights. Got to pull all of that out when we talk about the home runs. Because remember, what we're talking about here is the home run wire. Whatever's home run, right? If we're talking about the wire at the panel, we're really talking about the home run. So we got to make sure that if something says other than 12, washer, dryer, okay, we got to make sure we account for those, and it's not number 12. And look on every panel, copy machine, compressor, vacuum, condensing unit, server room. Okay. So you got to go to the power plan, find where those are, and do the physical measurement from that home run to panel LB or wherever it's going. Details, all of our lighting, so we can see what it is. Sometimes you have to look at the lighting. Uh-oh, nobody's home. Sometimes you have to look at the lighting schedule to sometimes because you'll think it's an individual light and it's a string light, right? It's a string light. So you got to measure a length. I don't know if that's the case in this one because, I do these and I forget about them because there's so many to do. But you have to look because it'll tell you. Okay, so you have to say recess surface and it'll say, well, what, string or something. You'll know, oh, okay. I need to measure where I see that, or it'll be noted like something like that on the plan. Okay, also site lighting. Make sure you look at the details of your site lighting, and I got to go back and put a video on that. I don't know, the other one we did, because chances are you're going to need a 3/4 inch ground wire, a grounding rod for each of the light fixtures. So make sure where is our site plan? They didn't really give us, those are, okay, so they didn't give us much of a site plan. Did they give the wire? I'm going to have to look. Maybe we're missing something. Yeah, because that's the plumbing plan. They didn't give us a detailed site plan. That might mean they're already there, but it's on the lighting schedule. So, but this is from the ground up, so they're not already there. So I would have to call the GC. Hey, you want me to just guess? Maybe yeah, that's a light on. Yeah, we're missing a site lighting, so I would have to get that. But we're going to work with what we got. And we'll show you when we do the takeoff how we work with what we got, because we don't have time to call these people and they should have everything we need. All right, so that's that. That's the lighting plan. A lot of lights, lots of lights. Make sure you designate between the regular and the emergency. Yes, it does make a difference. Let's see, power's a lot of stuff. Underground. Okay, account for two powers coming up from the ground at each one of these dots, right? Because each one of these is a home run, basically. And it shows you whatever 2 is. Lots and lots of notes. Okay. See, underground, you have not only the power, but you also have 2 sets of conduit. So make sure you read that 1/4 inch for the communication conduit. That's under there too. So 1 and 1. That's where wherever we have that 2, we have communication and power. That's very, very important. Okay, so if you have any questions, email me at education@sfjohnsonconsulting.com. But this is the one we're going to begin this week. And please subscribe and like and all that good stuff. And every month we have now drawings for $100 Starbucks gift certificate, $1,000 estimating credit for any company that listens, and free OSHA 10 and OSHA 30 certification every month. All that is each month. and you get the certification. Although now OSHA, you can have access to all of our study material for free, but when it comes to the live presentations, you need that to actually be certified, right? So you have to sign up and pay for that, but all the educational stuff, all the videos, all that stuff is free. So make sure you join, tell your friends, and I will see you later. Hey guys, thanks for joining me. This is Stacy with SF Johnson Consulting and Construction Services, and we are going to go over the full review of the OT Tennis Academy for our electricians only. And so what we're looking at here is the site plan. Pretty simple. And this is a series of tennis courts, right? So what we're going to have are a bunch of like parking lot light poles, and here they are. We just have to count them, right? And then of course all of the conduit is going to be underground, right? And it's going to be PVC. And so just follow, make sure we follow the notes. And in some cases, it's going to give you, right, it's going to tell you the home run. It's not number 12s. Okay, typically when it's that distance and for our lighting, it's going to be number 10. Okay, and so keep that in mind. So what you have to do is make sure you know where the panel is, where the main distribution panel is, with reference to the court. So it will be somewhere. You're going to have to look at the building, right? Look in the building. Oh, it's right here. I didn't want to tell you, but I just told you. Okay. So here, this is where it's at. And, this is pretty simple. So this is the site plan. Everything is pretty well outlined. Make sure you follow all of the keynotes. Okay. And allow for transition from PVC to either rigid or EMT, depending on where it's coming in at. Okay. And power plan and lighting plan, all on for the building, all on one thing. It's a nice, neat little plan, right? It's really simple. You can't really mess up, right? Just do your counts correctly. If you have a good counting tool, you're not going to mess it up. And two, make sure you distinguish between the emergency fixtures and the ones that are not. Okay, because they cost a different price, they're different, everything's different about them. Okay, so make sure you do that. And pretty simple for our power and communication. Your junction boxes where they're needed. Make sure you do all your home runs. And you know that unless it tells us something different, it's all going to be number 12s. Follow all the keynotes. Okay, and last but not least is our all of our panels. Okay, and so just make sure you get all of your breakers correct, and make sure you know how many positions in the panel, because the labors, depending on the number of positions in the panel, pretty simple. And then your single line. And what I normally do, right, when I'm doing my conduit, look at your keynotes. It's going to tell you the assembly for all of the wire. Okay, and so I normally just start here, and all of this stuff is really going to be on our on our Excel spreadsheet for all the switch gear, right? And I usually do this the very last thing. And see, this right here shows me that this is underground and it comes up, but it shows me this too seems to be underground and it comes up. So make sure you account for this portion of your conduit to be PVC, because it's going underground and it's coming back up. Okay. And so that's it. If you have any questions, email me at education@sfjohnsonconsulting.com. I will have my take up off. I won't have my stuff put up there until all of your work is due. And so if you have any questions, email me, and make sure to make your at least two times a week your appointment to work directly one-on-one with me. But thanks a lot, and I will talk to you guys next time. Hey guys, happy Monday. And this is Stacy with SF Johnson Consulting and Construction Services. And I just wanted to show you very quickly how to get into the OSHA site for the training information. And so you would go to, and everyone that's taken the class has to complete this. You get access to all the study material, and all the links will be active. But in order to get your certification, you have to attend the live classes, and which means you would have had to pay for that, which means you would have separate access when we do have the live, separate access to those classes. So if you have already purchased the class as a company or as an individual, then you know who you are. But everyone else, anybody else, gets access to all of the study material. And this is how you do it. So you go to our homepage, which is www.sfjohnsonconsulting.com, and go to the OSHA Live. It says free. And so to sign up, you're going to click that, and hopefully I haven't already used every one of my emails. So my name is Stacy and my last name is Johnson, and we're going to use a different one here because I think I already got one on that one. And let's see, let's do takeoffs. That's one of our emails. Okay, and so I'm going to create a password. And I'm going to retype my password. Okay, and that should be it. That's all you have to do. That way, we'll be sent a notification that you have signed up. And now, if you are the primary person for the business, this is what you have to do. You have to go down here because there are certain requirements for OSHA 10 and OSHA 30, which you have no choice. You don't pick those. But and OSHA 10, I do everything. So there's really nothing to choose in addition to in OSHA 10. And so, but OSHA 30, you do have to choose additional classes, which are down here. Okay. And so you pick the ones up to six, I do believe. Yeah. Six of the topics and or more, pick as many as you want. Well, we have to cover those as well. So again, if you're taking OSHA 30, you need to pick six of the additional elective topics and then give us all your information. So either way, we'll be ready. And every class is Tuesday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Uh, on those days. So if you have any questions, email me at info@sfjohnsonconsulting.com. And again, just go to the free tab, fill in everything. We'll get a notification, and then we'll know you've been added to the class. We'll contact you with the actual login information for the live class, and we'll go from there. Okay? Any questions? Let me know. Thank you, and have a wonderful week. Hey friends, this is Stacy with SF Johnson Consulting and Construction Services, here to introduce a new segment of our educational program we call For Fill in the Blank Only. And this is for roofing and roofers only. And so what that is a program where we cover basics, estimating, and then safety related to that trade. And so we always start with the estimating or takeoff portion to introduce the trade. And what we have here is a small roof or a scooter's coffee. And this is the scope of work. So the keynotes on the roof, basically it is a TPO roof, 60 mil over a half-inch DINS deck over poly insulation. Okay. And so what we need to do, we need to determine how many square feet of the TPO. We need to check to make sure if we have parapet walls, which we do. What is how many square feet of that do we have? Because chances are we're going to have the roof finish go over the parapet wall, right? And then we have some parapet caps, so we need to be able to, and this is typical for every roof, so it's not really anything, the square footage of the finished material, the cricket sizes, possibly um, how many linear feet of flashing for a particular purpose. Anywhere where there's wall and roof meet is usually a place to put the flashing. So I always give the how many basically the perimeter of the roof, and then any of the cricket lengths, right? And what's a cricket? It's just additional framing we place over the main framing to give it a slope so the water doesn't gather here, right? So and the arrows indicate the direction the water's going to flow, right? So we want the water to typically flow uh, in this direction towards the valley, right? Kind of early, kind of early. All right. So we want the water to flow towards the valley, and it's usually some roof drains or gutters, downspouts, and I'm sure number three that's what that is. Let's see. Yep, a roof sculptor. So what do we have to do? How many square feet in total? We have to measure how many linear feet the perimeter, because chances are the parapet wall is the length of the parapet wall goes the perimeter of the building. We're going to look at the section views. That's a building section view. So we can see the thickness of the insulation and all the other details, right? Because from the plan view, we can only determine how many square feet of the finish, plus we can determine how many linear feet. And so for the roofer, square feet of the finish, always determine how many square feet of opening we have. And this is an opening for a rooftop unit or condensing unit or something like that. Then we want to know uh, how many square feet. And, it's a circle, so we just square it out because we do want to be able to give to the roofer how many square feet of opening, because they're going to deduct that if they want to. I don't know. It's just waste, right? Deduct that from the total area of the roof. So, area of the roof, perimeter of the roof, because we're going to have to look at a section view to determine the parapet height. So, let's go here. So, we have 4 different building section views. So what this is now this building section view is good for a bunch of people. It's such a small building. So it's good for the framer if we need to know the full height of those, God, I can't even think, the full height of the shear wall. Shear wall height usually goes the full height of the building. So now I know that the shear walls are going to be this height. So I can use this for that, I can use it for the thickness of the insulation. I can use it for finished carpentry. This looks like 2 top plates and another, and it's most probably at the perimeter of the building. And so for my roofer, tells me my roof finish, right? And I can look and see that this is the board insulation as opposed to the bat insulation. And if I'm the insulation professional, I can use this too to determine the height of my insulation. A lot of good things from this view. But because we are the roofer, we have to make sure we go to the next view. Why? Because this is a call out, right? A detailed call out, meaning it's telling us it's going to call out just this portion of the building. And because we're the roofer and our roof is showing right here, so we know that our parapet wall, it looks like it's a different height, right? Based on the side of the building. So we have to go back to the roof plan, and the 1/3.1 would be the height for these walls, because that section view goes through both walls. So that indicates that both of these walls are based on that height. Now, once we get here, it's going to change. we're going to look at 4 over 3.1. So if that parapet wall happens to be a different height, it's going to be at this point forward. We're going to calculate the different height. But for this whole section, till we get here, it's going to be whatever height is shown. And then these also have a different. Then we'll look at 2 over a 3.1 for the height of these parapet walls. Because again, we can see that the parapet walls are a different height. Okay, so that's how we get that. So we go to, because I want to go to more of the detail view. So I'm going to go to 4 over a 3.3. 4. It still gives me another detail call out. So I got to follow every one of them because I'm the roofer and I have to make sure I followed every detail call out until there's no more. So I still know a lot about this. I know that my finish is going to go up the parapet wall. I know I have a 22 gauge metal parapet cap that is this width, and I still got to go to 7 over 3.4. 7. So you got to have patience. And because you don't want construction defects, right? You're going to make sure you go to every view that you're sent to. And so we see here that there are no more views, no more call outs, no more anything. So this is the final of the views, the final of the detail views. And so as the roofer now, I know that I need to do all of this for my parapet cap. And I know that even the rough carpenter is going to come to this view too. Or have it, yeah, because they need to do all of this. And then, you know, if you're doing the siding, then yeah, you're going to come here too. It's going to lead you here too. So all of the views are based on whatever you do. You know, if I'm the flooring professional, right, I'm not looking at these views because it's not my scope of work. But if I'm the rough carpenter, the siding professional, the roofer, all of these, it's my scope of work. Okay, so I have to go to every view. And so now I know that in terms of, because I'm looking at the plan, right, for my takeoff. And so I know that even for the rough carpenter, I know I have 2 of these top plates. So 2 times the perimeter of the roof, if I'm doing my takeoff for that, I know I have is a sealant, continuous caulking. So I know how many linear feet of caulk I have. So I know from the container how many linear feet of caulking, 8 ounce, 16 ounce, 32, whatever, a bucket, whatever. So that way I can do a proper takeoff to do a proper material determination, material cost determination, right? Rain, screen, high performance weather barrier. You don't want to miss out on any of that because if you do, chances are it's going to leak and you're going to have a construction defect. And if whatever trade was your trade, you'll be responsible for all the other trades that got damaged because you failed to do your portion. That's what I did for a living, construction defect litigation adjuster. That's why you get that insurance. So just in case you don't show them, you don't know how to read a set of plans, you don't get to the detail call out number 6 or whatever, and you forget to put something in your construction and you blow it and it leaks and somebody gets sued because now the whole building is leaking. Right? Yes. No. So you want to make sure you know how to read your plans. Okay? Come to the construction queen. I think this is the only time I ever referred. Like, what were you thinking when you came up with that name? Oh, probably a shot of tequila. See, I'm perfect for this job. Anyway, roof plan. Okay, so here are our wall curb attachments. So whatever this is, you got to make sure you account for it. It shows you how they want it up the wall, right? Because, well, what's the purpose of the roofer? To make sure no moisture gets in the building. Okay, so that's why we have the TPO roof on the roof and over the parapet, and it with a parapet cap with the caulking so water doesn't intrude into the building. Okay. And so what do we do as the roofer? Square feet of the flat roof. Now we know we have to break up the section view, right? Because at some points this parapet wall is 3 feet, some points it's 5 feet. So we have to do 5 feet times however many linear feet. So we're accurately determining the additional TPO for the parapet wall, right? And now we have to measure how many linear feet for the parapet cap and whatever else goes with our scope of work. And we have to make sure we're doing whatever this tells us for the openings, whatever this tells us, number 8, whatever this tells us, number 5, 6. Vent, that's easy. So we got a flash, and it's going to show us at 5A. Let's go to 5 over A 3.6. 5 over A 3.6. 5. I never pan in the first time right. Okay, so here's the vent pipe. Right, because what's the point? We don't want moisture coming into the building. So we have the vent pipe, that's the plumber. And now we have to do all of this. We're the roofer. Okay, and so you need to know how to do it and how to account for it. And so it's a vent pipe, so it's a circle. You could treat it like a square. That's fine. When you're doing actual takeoff numbers for, okay, how many linear feet of TPO to what point, and it tells you, I think, stainless steel clamping ring, sealant. See, what's the point? So no water gets down in there. So you have to be able to follow every section view, detail view. So you're doing the right thing. Okay, roof deck, rigid insulation. And if this is to scale, which it is, then you can just measure what's the thickness of the insulation. That's the whole point of having something to scale. If you don't know, it's like, 4 feet, 4 inches, 6 inches, whatever. What is this? This is different from that. So you got to make sure what that is. Okay, so it's fun. It's a lot of fun. All right, so roofer, you are going to make sure you know how many square feet flat, how many additional square feet for your parapet wall, parapet cap, all the goodies that go with that, and know the heights. That's why they give you the section views, because the section view marker is if what? This is, we cut down in 2, and now we're opening up and we're standing in here and we're looking at the interior construction so you can have a better view. And then that view will take you to a detail view most likely. Okay, and take you to all of these other places so you'll know how the vent pipes come and are flashed, and how let's see what 7 is. We didn't look at 7. Air condenser, see mechanical drawings. Okay. All right, so if you have any questions on anything that we presented, please email me at education@sfjohnsonconsulting.com. So in addition to this, we'll have stuff like safety for the roofer, what the project manager needs to know from a roofer, from that kind of perspective. So join us every day. We have something good for you. And if you like the video, please let me know. And again, email me at education@sfjohnsonconsulting.com, and I will see you next time. Hey guys, this is Stacy with SF Johnson Consulting and Construction Services, here to talk about number 8 on OSHA's top 10 cited violations, which would be a failure to have and be able to prove fall protection training. As we know, falls are one of the leading cause of death and injury on the construction site. And so in every case, I'm almost certain you need to have a fall protection program and proof of such at your job, and proof that everyone there is getting the training. So it's the OSHA standard 29 CFR 1926.503. Subpart M, safety and health regulations for construction, says this standard underlines the requirement for the employer to provide a training program for employees that may be exposed to falls. Training must be performed by a competent person qualified in the nature of hazards and details of fall protection systems. The employer must have a written certification of training on file. So that's the important part, because if it didn't write it down, it didn't happen. And so here's the actual standard from OSHA: must have the training program uh, for employees who might be exposed to fall hazards. You got to have the program. It's really just that simple. So I'm going to show you our page that we teach from, OSHA's fall protection training. Just a small little video to get us started. All right. OSHA makes the world go round. All right. So, how can you protect yourself from fall hazards? Well, first of all, the use of fall protection equipment. We're not going to go through everything, but this is kind of the beginning of what we teach. Basically, the safe use of ladders, and of course, you got to have your training. But the most important is the fall protection equipment. You know that the employer is totally responsible for providing that on the job site, and so the one they prefer, if you need any at all. See, the goal is to never even need fall protection, but if you do, then there are three that are recommended. Guardrails, of course. Those are a passive system where if they're there, you won't fall. Okay, where also safety net systems is, if you fall, something's there for you. You get in the net and they'll take you out of the net. And then the personal fall arrest system. It's an active system. You have to wear it. It has to work right. It has to employ correctly in order to save your life. So you really want to not have the need for one, but if you do, guardrails are the safest. And of course, if you're up higher than 6 feet, you're going to need some kind of system to safely get you to the ground. We go over scaffold work. If you need the personal fall arrest system if you're higher than 10 feet. And then we go over safe ladder use and then all of the training. Okay, fall protection guidelines. We go over all of that. Understand the company's written fall protection plan. So there's the there's the violation right there, right? Let's get a little something to drink here at the office studio. Yeah, that's the problem right there. Written fall protection plan. So, if you have people working for you, you want to keep them safe, right? You have to plan. You have to actually do the training. You have to use the equipment. The employer has to provide it, has to replace it. But if there is evidence that the employee damaged it on purpose, then the employee has to replace it. Okay, so that is what, number 8, the violation. You got to make sure you do what's right. Okay, so what are my employer's requirements? Of course, to provide the fall protection, to ensure if you're going to use scaffolds, there's a system, there's a requirement in OSHA how to do it safely. Yes, we need to train you on the use of ladders, even though it seems very simple. And yes, we must conduct work site maintenance. These are all things that will assist you in staying safe from falls. And then, of course, to provide the training. Okay, so it's a lot of a lot of stuff that appears to be repeated, but these are the actual standards that go with proper scaffold construction, the standard on the scaffold. And we went over a lot of these on the previous because, yeah, these are things that everything related to falls, pretty much the fall protection, the use of ladders, the scaffold, pretty much OSHA's most cited violations. And so maybe that's why falls are the leading cause of injury, right? And death. So fall protection training, all of that stuff is very important. So if you think you are in need of it, or if you are in need of it, make sure you contact us. We set up individual fall protection training for the individual and for the manager, so they'll know what to teach. So if you have any questions about this or anything that we have presented previously, please make sure to send us a email at education@sfjohnsonconsulting.com. Otherwise, I'll see you at the next class. Hey guys, this is Stacy with SF Johnson Consulting and Construction Services. And in this video, we are going to go over some structural framing for our class and our special segment on our website for framers only. This is the structural set, and in the structural set, this is the cover sheet. You know, the structural set talks about all of the concrete framing components, posts, anchors, uh, concrete masonry, everything related to the structural set. And so in this set, we're going to talk about the structural framing. And what is structural framing? It's the shear walls, it's the posts and columns and headers and beams and how they are connected and supported. And so this is a small coffee shop. And the first sheet that it gives us is a configuration of the shear wall. So it's the shear wall plan. So it gives us the shear wall schedule. And what is the shear wall? It's additional framing that you put over the structural framing to give the walls more resistance to shears. In this case, it's showing drift for snow or for wind shears or earthquakes in California. And so you give the walls some additional structural components to make them stronger, basically. And so, what is a shear wall? It's basically just plywood on the exterior portion. Well, because it's right, it's at the for the rough framing. We're not talking about drywall. We're not talking about framing that's on the architectural set, right? So it's just so we have the rough framing, and so we're going to connect the shear walls at the frame of the structural walls, and it's nothing but plywood, okay, 1/2 inch plywood, and it tells you how to place it basically between the posts, right, and how to nail it. Okay, so what is this? 10D at 6-inch off center. So shear wall 1, the hold downs are these. It looks like all the hold downs, no, they're not the same. Hold downs are as listed. Then the anchor bolts are as listed. Okay, so 10D is the size of nail. 6-inch OC is, so we're putting a 10D nail every 6 inches on center. And the hold downs are as such. So we're going to have to look at, if we really want to get a good look at this, we have to look at the structural sections, right, in order to see exactly how everything is placed. And so the anchor bolts, this is the size. And for shear wall 1, they're placed every 2 feet, and we work our way down to every 32 inches. So basically, it shows us here. So wall B, and now we have these are wall B. And so now this is just the shear wall, and we have to go to the other page in order to find out, well, what is B? What's the configuration of B? What are we talking about when we are talking about B and A? And that's on the other sheet. Okay, so this basically just shows us the shear wall configuration, and we have to use this in conjunction with this. And so, what's A, what's B, what's 1, what's 2? Here's the actual roof framing plan, and then the foundation plan, which in the foundation plan, they also kind of mix up your, they put everything that's for your framing here. So, it's kind of like, for my liking, I don't want the king studs on the foundation plan, right? Because the foundation plan is concrete, right? For me, it's a one. See, we have a single story building, right? So it's kind of like, okay, do I put it here? Do I put it there? But because it is framing, we should put it on the roof plan. But every architect is going to do something different. So, what is my job? Let's go back to what my job is. As the framer, structural framer, I have to be able to do the takeoff for this thing. That's really so I have to do the takeoff for the shear walls, and I have to do the takeoff for all of the king studs. How many? What's the height? I have to do the takeoff for the headers. How many linear feet of each type of header? What is B? So that's why we have to use this sheet in conjunction with the sheet that we already saw. What is B? Well, B is the header. And what's a header? Header is, let's go back. When we put see, that's why I don't like it. It has the header here and the header here. But no, it doesn't have the header here because it doesn't mark it. It only has the king studs here, but the header's over here. Okay, so what's a header? That's header B. Anytime we put a hole in a structural wall, and a hole is a door or window, you have to give the strength back to the hole so we can place the roof joists and they can be secure. So we put headers in doors and windows. So it's a combination of 3 or 4 2x4s, 2x8s, 2x6 with the plywood to fit the gap. So let's go back to see let's go forward to see what header B is. See, I kind of don't like when you got to go back and forth. Everything that you need on one set should be on the set. There's no reason why they couldn't repeat this on the sheet that we actually need it on. So it's like, oh, if you're new to this, I'm like, okay, well, what is this? And yeah, when I was new to this, it drive you crazy. It's like, well, wait, where's A, B? Oh, it's on a different sheet. It should always be on the same sheet that it's referenced. But in this case, it's not. So we have to keep going back and forth. And so what I would probably do is just print this out. So when I go to the next one, I'm like, okay, what's header B? Okay, I already know because I printed this out. Okay, this is a pain, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? You work with what you got. All right. So what's header A? It's 3 2x10s. We know the by is wood, right? X wood with 2 half-inch plywood spacers to fill the gap, basically. B is 3 2x8s with 2 half-inch plywood spacers, and header C is 3 2x6s with 2 half-inch plywood spacers. So when you're doing the takeoff, you're basically saying 2x10 times 3. So if I measure 25 feet, I'm really going to say 75 feet of a 2x10. That's how we do that. And half-inch plywood spacer, half-inch thick by, half-inch by the width, by 2. Half by, because you need a height for it to be very technical on your takeoff, right? You need a height and a width for that plywood spacer. So you just got to sit there and, do the math. It's easy. Okay, so some stuff is over here now. What's B? Shear wall schedule. See, but this B is nowhere on this, right? Because this B, well, where's 1 and 2? See, 1 and 2 is nowhere on here, so I hate this set of plans. So what we're going to do is we have to measure 1 and 2. That's here. That's all of our 1. Because your shear wall isn't continuous. It's only where it's noted. Okay, so that's confusing too. That's why I decided to get a very confusing set of plans. Okay, because here's the shear wall, here's the symbol. So when we see octagon 1, 2, 3, 4, we need to look for octagon 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's here, octagon 3, and it is only where you see these symbols. So it's not everywhere. Okay, so that's a pain. So we'll do those measurements. Okay, and remember this is for framing only. So what do we need to measure? The length of the shear walls, how many linear feet. Then we're going to go to the section views. And see, these section views don't help because they don't go all the way to, they don't tell you the height. Okay, it shows you, see, it breaks it off right here because this is the header. Man, this sucks because your shear wall is going to go the full length of the wall. So this right here is the header. Where's the header? Header's at the top of the window or the door. And so you have to figure out what's the top of the window, and it tells you right here. Reference the architectural set. So you see how difficult it can be to navigate when you have a crappy set of plans. And what's our job for framers only? Measure how many linear feet a shear wall, and you got to figure out what the height is because you need square feet for shear wall. You got to determine how many linear feet of the header. See, this is the one with the 3 or 2 or whatever plywood header, and then it tells us to reference the plan. So this is from section view 2 on there. Okay. And so, yeah, it could be a little difficult. But this is just the basic overview of the plans, right? We got to get a basic overview. We're the framer. Basic overview is kind of crappy because framer, we need our rough framing. 3 king studs and 1 jack stud at rough opening typical. So whatever I see here, so that's why they don't have to mark this one, because they've already marked it here. They gave me the details. Typical means that this picture right here, whatever I see that represents this picture right here, which is like what, this one, that one, that one, that one. Oh, see, no. Okay, so corners, typical. So the corners, we know we have 5 at the corners because it told us. Typical is the key. And then at the openings, we have this configuration, typical. And this is an opening. And I just have to know it's an opening because I should know it's an opening. This represents an opening. Okay, so a little confusing, but not really. So again, what am I doing? Measuring how many linear feet of shear wall. This represents the shear wall, octagon 1. It's only this many linear feet. But at the corners, I have this configuration and that. So I have to measure what? 5, 10 king studs times 15, 20, 12. I don't know how many linear feet because it's going to go from the foundation, right, to the roof joist. So I have to get on another set of plans if this section view doesn't show me, which it doesn't. Okay. It only shows me the from the header all the way up. Now, it's very confusing because I have the shear walls. Let's go back to the shear walls. Well, we know that the wall is, let's go back to the floor plan, right? Floor section view. Here we go. Okay, so now we're at in the architectural set. It's not telling us anything about these, right? That's our header that we're looking at on our structural set. It's not giving us info about that. But see, we have to go here to determine the shear wall height because there's nothing that tells me, and shear walls are usually that's the whole point, to attach it to the foundation, to the roof joist, and then above. And so that's the only detail. And I would just, when you do the estimate, you just got to be very detailed on how many linear feet, how many square feet of shear wall are you allowing for the plan. You got to be very detailed, especially when the plans aren't detailed. You got to write out a lot of stuff because you want whoever's reviewing your estimate to know that you've done the best based on these plans that you're given, right? To get the correct numbers. And so over time, we'll have the takeoff completed, the visual completed so you can see it. And you'll also have the pricing from a cost book. And then with the cost book, we'll be able to tell how long something takes. That's the beauty of this whole thing because you want to be able to price it correctly. If you know how long it takes, you'll be able to price it correctly. You'll be able to know how long each job you do is going to take. And so you'll be able to schedule work for the whole year, right? If you have 5 jobs and you know exactly how long they're going to take, you know if you need more work for the year. You can't just work, oh, I think this is going to take 2 or 3 weeks. No, there is a way to determine once you have your full takeoff completed, how long this job is going to take to do every portion of the scope of work. So let's go back because this is for the framer. Okay, so the framer, what I'm going to do is shear walls. I got to measure how many linear feet of the king studs, right, from foundation to roof joist. I have to determine how many linear feet of uh, the headers over here. How many linear feet of header I have. And now, how do they represent the roof joists? Structural framing and always represent it with the arrows, the sweeping arrows. So I know the full roof joist configuration. And if it was if it's something different than 2x12s, it would have another sweeping arrow and give me whatever that is. And so the full roof joist, structural roof framing and structural framing. We know that it's all 2x4 at the 16th on center. And then we have to look at, because we have a hole in the roof, right, to hold the condensing unit and the air handling unit and whatever unit. So these structural roof joists have to have their own additional structure to keep the air handling unit from falling through the roof, right? Okay, and so for the structural framing, there's a few totals that we'll come up with. All of the headers, all of the shear wall totals, all of the roof joists. Now you can do the roof joists because you actually buy roof joists based on not square feet. but how individually, right? In all of these individually, and it appears that the majority of them is are 17 feet 11 inches. So that's good for this one, because if the building was built another way, then we'd have to tailor our roof joists to fit that length, right? Because these are made specifically for the building. Okay, so again, for framing only, what do we have to do? The structural framing, not architectural plan framing. Structural framing, architectural plan framing, two different things. So this is S plan as in Stacy. So what do we look for again? Shear walls and posts and columns. Basically, these are acting as uh, posts. Pretty much, these are acting as posts because it's single story. You don't need anything to other than that, but that's a lot. These are uh, posts or columns, whatever you want to call it. Call it either one. They have the same purpose. So again, I repeat myself. Structural framing, what are we measuring? Shear walls, and that's all is represented by this configuration. And on the other sheet, it told us what octagon 1, 2, 3, 4 plus the anchor bolts. So really, we can determine first if we know how many linear feet, and it should tell us more about the nails. It's like, okay, 10D nails at the 6 inch. Is that at the framing? See, we got to look more in detail on the nailing, because it's just, yeah, every 6 inches, but at the corners on in each direction. So that's something else you got to look for. Okay. And you can figure out how many anchor bolts you need. If you know how many linear feet, you're placing them every 2 feet. So you figure out how many anchor bolts you need, the hold downs. You can really determine how many nails you needed if you wanted to. Okay, so shear walls. And then we say, well, how many linear feet of shear wall? Octagon 1, 2, 3. Figure that out. Then all of the corner king studs. Figure that out. All of the headers. How many linear feet of whatever configuration it says it is. So, right? No. Headers. So remember, it's not just one stretch of 2x10. If I have 100 feet, now I've got to get 300 feet each cut that size, right? Because within each opening, I have to put 3 plus 2 1-inch half plywood spacers. So that's what the structural framer does. Got to figure out all those totals. We'll have all of that done shortly in a video reviewing all of that, and then we'll have video 2, which is the pricing, and then video 3, which is formatting an Excel spreadsheet so it can look nice and pretty. And so if you have any questions related to any of this, please email me at education@sfjohnsonconsulting.com. Tell me what you think about this. It's very crazy, right? This is not a very easy one. Structural framing, like electrical, a lot of little details. If the plans aren't really good, you got to go back and forth and back and forth. And you can't make mistakes as an estimator. You got to make sure everything is right. So you have to take your time. So you'll see once we work through this little by little. And again, any questions, please email us, or otherwise, I will see you at the next class. Hey guys, this is Stacy with SF Johnson Consulting and Construction Services, going over OSHA's 10 most cited violations, number 7, which is powered industrial trucks, or more likely the improper use of the powered industrial trucks. And that is OSHA standard 29 CFR 1910.178. 1910 subpart N as in Nancy, material handling and storage. And this standard contains the safety requirements relating to fire protection, design, maintenance, and the use of powered industrial trucks. And so basically fancy term for forklifts, tractors, platform lifts. It could be any specialized industrial truck powered by electric motor or internal combustion engine. And there are, 11 different designations. Okay, so it just basically goes over the standard of each, what's required in the training, and we're going to get that up here. So we have this in a little video. We want to drive the forklifts around like they're sports cars. So basically, if you are using one, you have to be properly trained. It has to be noted that you've been trained, and you have to be trained every 3 years. And the only additional training would be required if you were found to be using, the forklift improperly. Then yes, you would have to be required to be retested, recertified, and all that good stuff. So that's what would happen in that case. So really simple. This section contains safety requirements related to the protection, design, maintenance, and use of fork trucks, tractors, platform lifts, all new powered industrial trucks acquired and used by an employer shall meet the design and construction requirements. And then it just states that there are 11 different types. And then there is more information on where and when you can use each type. And so we have a little video here to go over the most important things when it comes to that is just you don't modify it you don't do anything to it other than the manufacturer's recommendations. For instance, even if it is 110 degrees, you can't put an umbrella, stick an umbrella on the top, right? Because that's not according to manufacturer specifications. I know it makes a lot of sense, but you'll get a violation because of that. Okay, so let's show this little video, and it is very outdated, just to show you how long we've been trying to keep you guys safe. Here we go. I'm gonna cut the mic off, and hopefully this time again I'll remember to cut it back on. We'll be right back. Isn't that awesome? It's awesome music.
Powered industrial trucks are rugged tools used to push, pull, carry, lift, and stack materials. These machines include the tractors that pull luggage carts at airports, the all-terrain reach trucks operated on construction sites, and of course, forklifts. All of these vehicles save us time, money, and effort. But if they are not used correctly or maintained properly, they can be dangerous. OSHA's Powered Industrial Truck Standard covers how to work safely with these machines. One of the most significant parts of the regulation deals with training. Before you can use any type of powered industrial truck, OSHA requires that you be fully trained, evaluated, and certified by a competent instructor. Your certification process includes instruction on safety procedures and training on how to operate the industrial trucks that you will be using. You will also have supervised driving practice. Your knowledge and ability will be re-evaluated at least once every 3 years. If necessary, you will undergo retraining at this time. OSHA also requires training anytime you are observed being unsafe, have a close call, or are involved in an accident. In addition, retraining is required whenever there is a change in your workplace that may affect your ability to operate a powered industrial truck safely. Hello and
All right. So you know that very last one when bro comes out swinging his arm. No, no. You know that's the one is what we get the most violations, right? Doing donuts in the thing. Even in a lift, I've seen it. So, what more can you say about power industrial vehicles? Pretty much forklifts, what we use every day on the job. Just be safe. And if you have any questions or concerns, hey, let us know what you think about the video. And I think we got what, two or three more left. What's next? Oh, fall protection training. Okay. So we have fall protection. That was number one. But fall protection number one was the use of it, right? Nobody was wearing it. Okay. So it obviously makes sense that we have number eight, no program, no proof of training program. So that's next. That's number eight. That's number eight of OSHA's most cited violations. OSHA's been around since the 70s, but that's how they make money because people don't pay attention and they don't follow rules. So if you have any questions, make sure you send me an email at education@sfjohnsonconsulting.com, and I will see you guys next time. And ladies, adios. Hey guys, this is Stacy with SF Johnson Consulting and Construction Services. Just wanted to go over our violation number 6, the control of hazardous energy, also known as lockout tagout. So that is OSHA Standard 29 CFR 1910.147, part of the General Environmental Controls. The standard covers the servicing and maintenance of machines and equipment, and it really goes over the standards and rules and procedures that should be set when there is an unexpected release of energy from a piece of equipment. So, pulleys, that kind of thing, anything with an internal, pretty much capacitor. They hold energy. They store the energy that they are that's given or that's input from the energy source can be stored in certain parts of the equipment. And so when the equipment has to be serviced, we have to make sure that the equipment that stored energy has been released in one way or another. And so, in a lot of ways, it just takes a period of time to do that. So, time, we have to allow for the piece of equipment, unplug it, release it from its original power source, and then or turn it off if there's a direct connect to the power source, we turn it off, and then we do what's called as lockout tagout, where we physically lock it. Someone's in charge of that. There's a what do they call that? I got to think about it a minute. There's a order for which we know who's to check it, how often it is to be checked. Uh, there's only one person in charge of the key to the lock, and the whole purpose of that is to uh, give the equipment enough time to naturally release the energy. So when it is, when we want to go in there and repair whatever it is, the employee who puts his hand in there, right, is safe from it being injured or her being injured. And so what I want to do right now is kind of give an introductory video on the concept of stored energy and the release of energy, and then we'll go over a few of just the outline of the standard created by OSHA, and then a small video on the procedure for lockout tagout. So let's first things first. Yeah, let's see, where are we? I think we're here. And this is what is potential energy and what are the hazards. from our friends at WorkSafe. All right. And I'm going to turn off my mic. And this time I'm going to turn it back on because I recorded this already, but I didn't turn back on the mic. So this is the second time, but I promise, I'm going to promise myself to turn the mic back on. Here we go.
What is potential energy? Potential energy is energy that is stored in an object, based on the position or the state of the object. For example, a massive object raised very high, such as a wrecking ball, has a lot of potential energy because of its mass and height. Elastic materials, such as springs and rubber bands, contain potential energy when they are compressed or stretched. When that potential energy is released, the rubber band or spring can move very fast. Because potential energy is stored in objects that are not in motion, it can be hard to tell if the equipment has potential energy and may be dangerous when released unexpectedly. Sources of potential energy must be controlled by restraining, blocking, or lowering elevated parts of the equipment. Some sources of potential energy may be hidden from view inside machinery, becoming dangerous if not identified and controlled. All sources of potential energy must be identified when performing risk assessments. Once equipment has been de-energized and stored potential energy has been controlled or released, it is considered to be in a zero-energy state. Always ensure all sources of potential energy are identified, controlled, blocked, or released, and verified to be in a zero-energy state before working on or around the equipment. Employers are responsible for identifying potential energy hazards in the workplace and implementing controls that prevent workers from contacting the equipment while energized. For more information, go to WorksafeBC.com.
Almost forgot again. All right. So now we'll go to some of the standards. But yeah, potential energy, very dangerous if we're talking about machinery and you putting your hand in there and it's a bad situation and you lose some fingers and you now can no longer hold two beers. You can only hold one. We don't want that to happen. All right. So the OSHA standard is 1910.147. Talks about the scope, application, and the purpose. But we know all of this, and when you take your class with me and we're going to have a good time, we'll talk about in detail the scope. And we know the whole purpose is to, if you are using machinery that has the potential or has the possibility, we don't want to use the definition in the explanation. No, we don't want to use the word in the definition. If you are using a piece of equipment that has the possibility of a release of energy, we want to go through the standard, or we want to make sure we understand everything to the application, why we do it, what do we do, what applies to what pieces of equipment, and what the purpose is. And the purpose for every OSHA standard, of course, is to always keep you safe. Okay, and so that is the standard. Like I said, when we go over it in detail, we go over everything in detail. The lockout tagout is basically, it is what it says. We lock it and we tag it. Chain of command. That's the term I was looking for earlier. That there is a chain of command, which means there are people in charge. We know who had it. who locked it, who's checking it, who unlocked it, because if there's a possibility that you go and everybody has keys to it, right? And you go unlock it and it wasn't ready and the energy hasn't dissipated, you go in there, you try to work on it, you lose all your fingers. You know what I mean? And so there is a chain of command, there are procedures, and OSHA has set those for you to keep you safe. And now we're going to look at our what is lockout, tag out, and some of the actual procedures, and we'll take it home from there.
Ever heard of hazardous energy? Imagine something like this, or maybe something more like that. Not quite. Hazardous energy is any form of energy found around the workplace that poses a potential hazard. It comes in many forms. Electricity is a common one, but hydraulic pressure, radiation, and even gravity can sometimes be considered hazardous energy. Modern machinery can utilize many types of energy, but when the machines are shut down for maintenance, that energy may not just go away. Workers can be injured when energy is released unexpectedly. So to keep them safe, extra precaution must be taken when working with this equipment. That precaution is called lockout, tagout. There are many variations on LOTO processes and programs, depending on the type of hazardous energy present, but they all share 4 basic ideas that are addressed before work begins. 1. Identify potentially hazardous sources of energy. 2. Disconnect those energy sources from the equipment. 3. Apply lockout or tagout devices to temporarily prevent reconnection. 4. Confirm that the system is safe. Lockout-tagout systems must adhere to OSHA's lockout-tagout rules as described in 29 CFR section 1910.147. As important as they may seem, lockout-tagout plans get overlooked far too often, as lockout-tagout is commonly found in OSHA's annual Top 10 list. In 2015, it was number 5. For more information about LOTO programs and the equipment used, visit.
More information, ask Stacy. Yay. All right, so yeah, that's our number 6 hazard. You know what I mean? And so we want to try to avoid that at all costs. Lockout, tag out, OSHA's 1910.147. Make sure you're not messing with equipment, even at home, right? Even at home. It applies at home. Make sure you're not, messing with equipment that has the potential to blow you up, shock you, set you on fire. Okay, so any questions about anything that we have presented? It is our hope to get these last few out within the next few hours. And so any questions, please let us know. Any comments, please let us know. And sign up, subscribe every month. We're going to put everybody's info in and we give away some Starbucks or some other thing, $100 a month for our loyal subscribers and listeners. Thank you very much. And please email me any questions you have to education@sfjohnsonconsulting.com. And we will see you next time. Peace. Hey guys, this is Stacy with SF Johnson Consulting and Construction Services. Just wanted to go over OSHA's top 10 cited violations, number 5, and that would be ladders and the improper use of ladders. And if you're improperly using the ladder, you probably have a lack of training. How easy can a ladder be? Well, we use ladders so much we think they are easy to use, but they are the 5th leading cause of injury on the job site. And so we just want to go over a few things with respect to ladders and safety. That's the OSHA standard 29 CFR 1926.1053. And that's a general requirement construction standard. And the standard sets the rules for the condition of the ladders, the use of ladders, self-supporting, portable ladders, fixed ladders. Talks about the conditions of the rungs, how far spaced they should be, free of oils, that kind of thing, and then the ladder support. So we'll look at just a quick, because ladders, why we get violations on ladders is really is silly. It's mainly because of the support that we use or don't use for the ladder. And so just go over a couple of little things on the ladder safety here, and should be really easy. I just have a few things that, because again, really with the ladders, you just need to make sure they're not in an unstable position when you set them. There must be 3 points of contact when you're climbing a ladder. The height of the ladder should be at least 3 feet above the surface or the landing, right, that you're going to be approaching or that you're trying to get to. So the ladder has to be 3 feet longer than the landing, and it has to have a slope of a quarter, 1/4 of for the slope. So let's just read over a few things. Falls from portable ladders, step ladders, are one of the leading causes of occupational fatalities. Um, First of all, you have to make sure, just like with scaffolds, that the ladder is rated to hold the amount of weight, including the worker and all the material that they're going to be taking up the ladder. So first things first, you want to make sure that you're at least 10 feet away from any overhead power lines, and or that they're de-energized, which is a whole problem in itself. Okay, so you want to avoid the metal ladders and the power lines. You always want to inspect the ladder before using it and make sure it's clean. You can't slip off of it, that kind of thing. And then always maintain a 3 point of contact. So 2 hands and a foot, or 2 feet and a hand. So 3 points of contact. Okay, so you always make sure that if it is up against the building, it has to be properly attached to the building. Both of the rails have to be properly attached to the building. Okay. And again, you never use the top step or the top rung of the ladder. Those are the never steppers, right? The top and the rung, the last rung and the very top, you never use. So you can imagine, anybody from OSHA going by and they see a couple of things. They usually see a ladder positioned against a building that is not stable at the bottom. So it's sitting in some moist soil and it can sink. That's one thing. Two, there's no support at the top of the ladder. And three, the ladder is usually not long enough for the landing. And so, really, if you take point and do that and make sure your slope is correct, and here's a perfect picture. Make sure you have a 1/4 slope, 3 feet above the landing, the stable in a stable soil, or you have to make it stable in some way. The slope's correct, 3 feet above. Um, that's pretty much it. I mean, ladder safety is probably the easiest thing you can avoid getting a citation for, right? Make sure it's fitted for the job. Make sure it's the right height. Make sure it's secured at the top. Make sure it is in a stable soil, dirt, concrete, something at the bottom. And then make sure are always, you always have 3 points of contact when you're climbing the ladder. So, why we get violations for ladders is just being careless and being stupid, basically. There's nothing else I can say about that. So this is number 5, OSHA's most cited violations: improper use of the ladder. And just keep in mind, 3 feet above the landing thing gets everybody every time. Always gets them every time. So if you happen to be on the job site and your ladder is not long enough, you got to go back and you got to get the right ladder. Because again, if you're outside a building on a ladder, you're very extremely visible. And there's somebody like me walking around saying, hey, you either don't have on a hard hat, you're up higher than 6 feet, You don't have the ladder attached to the building. The slope is off. It's in the dirt. Something. 3 people on the ladder at one time. Oh, I saw a bro today just hanging off the side of a building. No guardrails on the top of the building. He's just hanging off the side. So I was going to make a U-turn and take a picture, put it up here just for you, but I decided I wouldn't. Guys don't like that. Anyway, ladder safety. Keep it in mind if you have any questions or concerns regarding this video. Please email me at